And welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network, a Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley. With me, as always, a man whose resume is as stacked as an Erie Seawolves lineup card. He is Cody Stavenhagen. How you doing?
Ooh, I don't know about that. I mean, that'd be quite the compliment, really, for anyone. You'd have to be like a Fortune 500 executive, have to have worked at a few different companies, right, to measure up to the esteemed lineup of the Erie Seawolves. All jokes aside, they're going to be a lot of fun to watch for the rest of the summer. And before we get going, one quick word. We have something cool that is coming up. We have a great giveaway going on right now in our chat BCC group chat. Think you know ball. Prove it in our trivia game for a shot at winning an authentic MLB jersey of your choice worth up to $400. Here's how you enter. 1, you sign up at foulterritory.chat. 2, play trivia, crush it, and you might win. We're going to pick one winner from the top scorers at random. The deadline is July 13th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. So get in there, play, win, and brag.
It's one of those things, Cody, where I wish we were eligible because I love trivia and I love jerseys.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
what jersey would you do? What
Ooh.
would you choose?
I mean, that's a little tough covering Major League Baseball. You'd look pretty unserious if you're just walking around with like an active player's jersey on. But I kind of have a soft spot for retro jerseys. I don't know for sure if that's eligible here. But I think a jersey, I have a few MLB jerseys. I'd like a Nolan Ryan, I think. And that could be Rangers. That could be the sick old Astros ones. Even an Angels one might be kind of cool. Any sort of Nolan Ryan jersey, I think would be pretty sick.
Can't go wrong there. I would also throw in the Mets. Why not? Won a championship wearing that
I don't like the Mets. That's why. That's why.
Well, you know what I would choose is probably not eligible. What I would choose would be a Zach McKinstry All-Star jersey. You know why,
All
Cody?
right,
Because it's a
because
thing.
he's an all-star.
Because Zach McKinstry is an all-star. A sentence that I am smiling ear to ear that I get to say because it's again, the word unbelievable gets thrown around way too much, but I would definitely say it's safe language to call it inconceivable at really any time that we've been talking about Zach McKinstry, on this podcast, his tenure as a Detroit Tiger. Nobody could have possibly predicted, and it's not like some charity case that he got added. You could argue he should not be an injury replacement. Like,
Right.
that's how good he has been. Everybody knows this, but just a little refresher. He's got the 2.7 WAR. He plays all over the place. His highlights are like going to be on the team's montage at the end of this season. Whenever this season ends, he's going to be heavily involved in that. So the announcement was made yesterday. I thought it was kind of cool. The AJ was talking about behind the scenes, and then showing it on the video board. There, he had himself a little curtain call. What was what is Zach McKinstry All Star like? You talked to him. What was he like? Just like
Mhm.
relishing this, something that again, really
Yeah.
cool.
I don't think it had really hit him yet. He was asked that, like, has it set in? And he seemed a little bit wide eyed. He was like, I don't know. That's a great question. And he was kind of laughing. That's obviously really cool for a guy like him. Back in Cleveland, we asked him about the possibility, and he was like, no, I would not have expected this. 3 years ago, I was riding the pine for the Dodgers. He's watching these all-star guys play and probably just didn't quite feel he was at that level. Obviously, he's been through a lot since then, had some doubts, had to overcome some adversity. A great story, but more than that, to your point already, Kieran, like, this guy deserves to be in the All-Star game. Um, his wins above replacement Fangraphs version is now the best on the Tigers, 2.9 WAR. He has passed Riley Green, and that is ninth best among all position players in the American League. You got 20 guys going to the All Star game. The guy who's ninth in WAR should probably be one there. It's still kind of crazy to fathom. It's still a little bit wild to look back and be like, man, what helped this guy take such a big leap at 30 years old? The fact that he's crushing left-handed pitching halfway through a season, like, this is not just a fluke, I don't think, but it's quite the turnaround, especially in that regard from the past. We knew he could do some productive things and could be a fun player at times, but to see him become well-rounded, to see him remain pretty consistent for the better chunk of 90 plus games, that's a lot to fathom. I can't imagine what it would feel like to actually be Zach McKinstry and be like, oh, wow, this is my life now. And no matter what happens from here, you're always going to have MLB All-Star by your name.
Yeah, it like we've all been through like series stages of life where you just think certain things are for other people, not for me. And I'm sure being a 33 round pick, uh, fire up chips, but like not like Central Michigan is known as a baseball factory or anything like that.
He's
Like
only the
this,
second All-Star in the
yeah,
history of to come out of Central Michigan ever.
yeah, and so like this is something that I'm sure was like unfathomable for the entire, like not even worth like dreaming about. You see what I'm saying? And so the fact that he was able to accomplish that is really cool. And then I didn't look this up. There's probably a way to do it, but it would take some time. But is it possible he might be the most popular guy in Atlanta? And what I mean by that is, so he's going with 4 teammates to the All Star game. Obviously, Javi, Green, Skubal, and Torres. He used to play for the Dodgers, mind you. The Dodgers sending a lot of guys to the All Star game as well. He might know the most people. Like
Ooh.
they're like
I'd,
that.
I'd, I'd
Like,
put Javi Baez in that discussion, but yeah,
but
he's
like
got some ties
teammates,
for sure.
but like actual teammates though, he might have the most. Like it's just something to
Yeah,
think
so
about.
most of those 16 Cubs are gone. Yeah, yeah.
Just a little food for thought. And then to just kind of tie a bow on the All Star stuff in general. Obviously, we'll talk about it next week and react to how the Tigers were represented in Atlanta. But it did get me. I was like, well, what else is there to say? Well, what if there's like a kind of comedic downside to like all these guys being all stars? Like, what lessons are we gonna like force onto other guys that are just not gonna be good overall? What I mean by that is like Dirk Nowitzki, like Darko Milicic, as he goes number 2 overall. Dirk Nowitzki isn't like really successful like in the NBA. You see what I'm saying? Like, so every European bigs were like overdrafted for years because of the success of Dirk Nowitzki. So he ruined it for a lot of guys. So what's been ruined here? Uh, I think 32-year-olds expected to have a resurgence. I think Javi has kind of put them in that category where it's like, well, Javi Baez did it. How come you can't do it, Joe Smith? You know what I mean? Like it's like there's the blueprint here, and we're not recognizing that it's an outlier when really it actually is. One that's actually a little bit more serious. I think Riley Green being a starter and a second consecutive All Star appearance this young, I think that's gonna be part of the Max Clark expectations a little bit. Riley Green, number 5 overall out of high school outfielder. Max Clark, number 3 overall out of high school outfielder. I think we're gonna start. I think we're gonna put heavier expectations on Max Clark because Riley Green did it. Why can't you do it? Gleyber Torres. I think people are gonna be looking at 1-year deals with a little bit more. Well, I mean, Glaber was an all-star. You signed, you know, John Doe here. Why can't this guy do what Glaber did? I think that's going to be like an expectation placed on some of these guys. And Skubal is such an outlier. I really couldn't find one. It's just like, why can't you be like Skubal? We'll talk about Skubal a little bit later because there is like a simplistic thing to Skubal's excellence that like literally every single Little League coach has taught every single pitcher ever, but apparently he's the best at it. So like, why can't you do that? We'll talk about that a little bit later. That's a tease, but yeah, I mean that's the thing that's special about this All Star group is that there's not a lot of precedent for these guys for the most part. Obviously, McKinstry and Baez being the greater examples, but Torres to a certain extent too. Like it is relatively uncommon, and that's what makes this group pretty unique and special.
Expectations. There can be a downside to that. You're what all this does is it raises the bar for the Tigers, for Scott Harris, for like going forward. What was that story like after the Red Sox won the World Series? Bill Belichick told Theo Epstein like you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
The Tigers haven't won the World Series yet, but that comes to mind. Like, yeah, Max Clark might be screwed a little bit as a result of this. And every 1 year free agent, like there's the threshold. Why are they not a Gleyber Torres level signing? I think in Detroit, fans are just now beginning to get out of the cycle of like making the video game move because Dave Dombrowski made some video games moves, trading for Prince Fielder, trading for David Price, signing, Pudge, whoever it may be. I think a generation of fans viewed the game through like, well, why don't the Tigers just go do that? Why don't you just go get Juan Soto, whatever? And people are just now kind of cycling and realizing that doesn't really actually happen, generally speaking, especially in a market like Detroit. So I don't know if that analogy makes complete sense, but I think that's kind of what you're getting at with some of those topics, Kieran. And you might not be totally wrong. I would think us as observers and fans, analysts, whoever, like, we should probably just try to remain rational as much as possible, and that'd probably go a long way.
It would go a long way, and it's okay to have, like I said earlier, it's okay to have outliers. It's okay to have things that are relatively unexplainable and make them special, and not think that it's like a trend or something that can be replicated. You
Right,
see what I'm
right.
saying? But some of that stuff will creep up into discussion because, again, your natural instinct is to always go to the most similar example that you can pull it from your memory. So I'm just saying those things are going to be a thing. It was a little silly, but those things are going to be a thing. And we're going to talk about a possible roster addition, whether there's any merit to it or not, or not. But first, a word from our sponsors.
AJ, we're in Vegas right now, and I have not had a lot of time to eat during the day. So
No.
what could we do?
I would love a Hule right now. Vanilla Hule would go down perfectly because when I have to skip meals because I'm too busy doing what you do in Vegas, which is not eat, I need a quick replacement, and Hule is the perfect thing.
I'm a chocolate guy myself. It's got the chocolate milkshake vibes to it. If you miss a meal, Hule can be your answer. If you're looking for a big protein boost, Hule can be your answer. So go check it out. Our friends at Hule are part of today's sponsorship. They've got you covered, spelled Huel. That black edition is a complete meal to feel full, focused, and ready for your day. Little prep, basically no prep. Shake it, open it. Hule has sold over 500 million meals around the world, and now it's your turn to try it. So go to Huel.com/foul and get Hule today with the exclusive offer for the FT fam of 15% off for new customers if you use the code, you know it, FOUL, minimum $75 purchase. Get after it.
All right, coming back here. This is kind of like a part of the podcast where I just kind of present an idea, and I just kind of want, like, not leaning anywhere or the other. I just kind of want Cody's thoughts, and just like, if it's a dumb idea, you can say it's a dumb idea, and I won't be offended. But the Yankees recently DFA'd DJ LeMahieu. That was a saga that had been going on more or less all season, and it got me thinking a little bit. It's just like, it would be a cool storybook thing, similar to some of the McKinstry stuff with the CMU connection. Like, if LeMahieu could, come home and, like, be a part of, like, a Tigers team that did something memorable. And I was like, well, let's look at the metrics. Like, what's going on here? He's a positive WAR player. Now, I know WAR is under fire a little bit right now, but he's a 0.7 WAR player. Offensively, 0.5. Defensively, 0.4. Not trying to brag here, but, like, he is a positive player, right? And they played him. They basically cut him because they needed to put Jazz at second base instead of, playing at third out of position. LeMahieu last season. Again, I'm not following the Yankees closely. Maybe we need to ask our friends at Pinstripe territory. But LeMahieu last season was 5 outs above average at third base. He has not played any third base this year. So my question is it worth bringing in somebody who would be free, because he just walked away with $22 million from the Yankees, and could, veteran presence, spot you defensively? Like, is it worth it in any fashion? Because, like, the metrics are actually a little bit better than I thought. He hasn't played enough to qualify for a lot of the percentile rankings, but his hard hit rate is up. His exit velocity is in the red, squared up in the red. He doesn't chase. Like, there's some good things here. It's not like he's a guy that should retire, if that makes sense.
Feels a little bit like the video game thing we just talked about, right? Hometown kid, from Metro Detroit, one of the best prospects to come out of Metro Detroit in recent memory. Let's keep a few things in mind here. DJ LeMahieu was DFA'd. He's not actually a free agent yet, so if the Tigers claimed him right now, they would be the ones paying that $22 million. That's obviously not going to happen. Now, after he clears waivers, he could sign a free agent deal. If you signed him as like a minor league free agent or something for fun, I don't know. I mean, he is a right-handed bat. You're right. The numbers are better than public perception would maybe lead you to believe, but I don't know. The Tigers don't really need a guy like this, in my opinion. Maybe they want a right-handed platoon bat. If you make that DJ LeMahieu, you bring in a veteran player. It's probably not going to play a lot. You need a right-handed bat because you need someone to hit left-handed pitching. DJ has not actually done that at all in the past 2 seasons. He does have some defensive versatility, but I just don't see it. It feels like one of those things that would amount to probably more of a distraction to me than it's worth.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. But the reason that it even sparked my curiosity, and yes, this is assuming he clears the waivers. I guess that's not a 100% guarantee at time of
Hey,
recording.
no one's trying to pay him 22 mil. We'll clear the waivers.
but there's he's again essentially a free asset that you would get your money's worth, I think, if you brought him in, because you could bring him in for any dollar amount. That's assuming there's not a lot of competition. And
I think he can still be a major league quality player. I think he used to play for the Rockies. I think the Rockies should pick him up to try to avoid being the worst team in history. Go
there
back
you
to
go.
Colorado. There you go.
Yeah, a
I'm
different
sorry.
kind of homecoming. So yeah, just every now and then you get guys that just don't fit in certain roles, and it's easier to cut bait than to hang on. And it's not necessarily 100% an indictment of what they can and can't do. There was more of that than I thought when I went and looked into the
Yeah.
LeMahieu stuff. Is really my larger point. But speaking of minors, Trey Cruz up in AAA, old friend Trey Cruz. I just want to mention it. I don't have a lot of analysis. There's plenty of guys that cover the Tigers minor league system, but he had himself a really nice season in Double A. Got moved up to AAA recently with the moves from A to Double A. 856 OPS, Cody and Erie. Trey Cruz. That'll do. That'll play. So I don't know. There may be one of those guys that works his way up at a certain point. He's not young. He's drafted in 2020.
Yeah, it's 27, so being 26, 27 in Double A, you should probably have a good OPS, right? But he's made clear improvements in his game, and he deserves credit for that. He's been one of the better stories in the Tigers minor league system this year. He's put himself back on the radar I don't even know about this season. It would probably take some really unfortunate injuries for there to be room for him, but even next year, he's back on the radar a little bit. Or maybe he could even have value to a team elsewhere. These things are worth considering. That's good for Trey Cruz, who's a player I liked a lot. Just the profile when they drafted him, who obviously comes from a lineage of major league players. It's tough to see 27 years old and be excited though. But I don't know. We're
You
making
still got
comparisons,
to
right?
give him
Zach
credit.
McKinstry just came out of nowhere, made
Yeah.
an All-Star game at 30. So
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I just want to give him credit
Mhm.
because this is
Yeah.
something that could have, he could not be playing baseball right now, and I think it would have been understandable. It's hey man, it's just I'm just not cut out for it. But he's kept with
Right.
it. Good for him. And again, not a lot of analysis. Jace Young's had a couple nice days. Just wanted to mention that
Needed.
because through the through the
Some
course of
swing
the season,
adjustments with Jace, I believe, too. Getting rid of
yes,
that bat tilt a little bit.
yes. So if there's something unlocked there, I still believe that there is there's an asset to be had there in Jace Young. So I'm not giving up on him, but if he's showing some real improvements and adjustments, the Tigers are I don't think going to hesitate to give him another shot here in the second half. So just wanted to make note of that. All right, so let's transition to more futuristic stuff as we are almost to the quote unquote midway point of the season. And that's this weekend, Cody. This weekend starts the MLB Draft. And, we don't do a whole lot of like draft analysis here. Just, it's just not something that we recognize the people that do that, and they do a great job. And we don't want to try to parachute in and think that we're
We
experts.
did it a lot back in the day when there was nothing else going on. Got some other things going on this year.
Yeah. Well, it's the Joe pick you had called early. Remember, Max Clark was it was leaked by Jason Beck that he worked out at Comerica, and it was like, well, is this really going to happen? Well, it did. So we haven't really gotten a whole lot of that stuff now. Again, because Major League program's a little bit more humming. But there are some names I just kind of wanted to throw out there as some possibilities that I think make sense for the Tigers. And the number one name, this is not. I thought I was going to come up with some original ones, and then I Googled them afterward after looking at their profile. And I tried the original. Not Kason Cunningham's a guy that's been pretty heavily linked to the Tigers, and he's a prep middle infielder. Don't know if he's going to be a shortstop. He's good enough that they're going to give whoever drafts him. We'll give him a shot, but he might end up naturally settling in at second base. He's considered a more physically mature guy because he's older. Like, he's 19. He's committed to the University of Texas, and he's a lefty, which I think we know Scott Harris is good for. He's considered a pure hitter and has good barrel control and rarely swings and misses. That's on one scouting report. So sounds like a Harris kind of guy to me, Cody. And he obviously plays a potentially premium position. We know that is a factor there as well. So Kason Cunningham is one name. Another name, I would mention this guy if I didn't think it was a fit because it's such an awesome name. How about Cruz Schoolcraft? Cruz Schoolcraft. That's Kruz. Schoolcraft is a lefty out of Oregon. 6'8", Cody. 6'8", 229 pounds. He's actually a two-way guy as a prep, but he might be a decent bat prospect, but he is a fringe first round, whatever prospect because of his arm, where he is clocked at 97. So 97 with 6'8" extension. You can just tell that would be a talking point should he get when he gets drafted, wherever he gets drafted. But he's also a prep arm. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Well,
if that's
he's
something.
lefty, profile's better than a righty, but I'm kind of out on any prep arms with a first round pick.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. A lot of times bet on the athlete. A lot of times the athletes are these position players. Which, speaking of that, another Oregon kid, Slater DeBrum.
This is the guy I kind of like. I like Kason Cunningham too. I like a few of the guys in this draft range, and it's hard to know exactly who will fall to the Tigers, but I kind of like Slater DeBrun. This is a guy with 65 run grade, pretty good hit tool, a little bit in that Max Clark, Corbin Carroll type mold, and although you already do have a guy kind of like that in Max Clark, you're kind of playing poker with the draft here, right? You're trying to acquire as much talent as possible. The Tigers like middle of the diamond athletes. They like left-handed bats. I don't think they're going to overcorrect and draft a ton of right-handed bats this time because they already have lefties in their system. The thought is we want a lot of lefty bats because we want to build a major league team that can have the platoon advantage often. Like, there is a little bit of a science to this. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Tigers went left-handed hitter. I wouldn't be shocked if they went middle of the diamond athlete. I think the game seems to be trending back a little bit more toward contact, toward speed. You want some players. I'm not a huge build to the ballpark guy, but you want some players who can thrive in the gaps of Comerica. I think Slater DeBrun fits that profile.
Yep, and since he's from Oregon, he's always he's and he's the same size. He automatically gets like Corbin Carroll comparisons. How valid they are, that's not for me to say, but it's always a reminds of type deal. And the last one at the top of the draft range-ish that I wanted to bring up was Sean Gamble. So Sean Gamble, he's at IMG in Florida, so he's older again. I think that could be a thing here. He's 19 years old. He's committed to Vanderbilt. Lefty, middle athlete, center fielder, maybe second baseman. Like he's a guy that like he hasn't necessarily tapped into his power yet, which probably means he's not going to profile with much power, but they like his barrel rate, scouts do, and he runs well as well. So like there's actually a lot of debate in the community. Is he an outfielder? Is he a second baseman? That's okay. They can be figured out over the course of going through the minor league system. I like Sean Gamble might be like my favorite non Cunningham, if that makes sense, for the top of the draft. I think that's somebody that the Tigers would like a lot.
I just want to say too, Kieran, it's important to remember what the Tigers have done in the Scott Harris era. They like to play around with their bonus pool. They like to, to look at the Clark McGonigal type thing. Like when McGonigal was drafted, there wasn't a ton of fanfare, but I'm not sure it's just the first pick that matters. The Tigers have 4 day one picks, 24, 34, 62, 98. Especially who they get at 24, who they get at 34, and how they play that could be interesting. Really, I think they're going to get a quality player with all 4 of these day one picks. Just something to think about. Let's not only focus on the first guy they select. Let's kind of look at the whole, because that seems to be part of their draft strategy these days.
Yep, very true, very true. It's like a pie graph, basically, is how the Tigers look at it. And I'll just say 3 names. Not going to give any scouts, but 3 names as well. That would be Carson Brumba, who is a infielder. He's committed to Tennessee. Jack, I try to get this name right. Jack Lameu, who is a right-handed pitcher committed to Arizona. He's in Arizona as well. And then lastly, Josiah, get this 100% right, Hartshorn. It's like Hart S.
I hope they don't
Hartshorn.
take any of these guys, so that I hope they get some names that you can say.
Yeah, exactly. So those are just 3 other names I think the Tigers might like at various points in the draft. So there you go. That's our draft coverage, little preview. We will react to some of their picks next week, obviously, in addition to a fun weekend or early week in Atlanta. All right, Cody, it is time for our chart topper of the week presented by DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. So, wanted to keep this simple, Cody, because I don't want to go through this without doing a Scubal segment. So, we got to do a Scubal segment. And he is our chart topper of the week. He just got changed up in the rotation. He could pitch on Tuesday. Just saying. Shout out CC Aaron Boone on that one. And Terrace Scubble is pitching the opener of the series, like I said. And Apple TV, I know that probably didn't play a part in it, but did it fit in my mind that the rotation got changed so that Apple TV national broadcast could have
Somehow
Scubble
he's ended up on all these national broadcasts. I don't know.
Is it coincidence? I don't know. I'm just pointing it out just in general. But the thing that I wanted to ask you, Cody, because we know we talked about how great he is, all these attributes he has, is that his calling card is throwing strikes. It sounds so simple to say. His calling card is throwing strikes. He does not walk people. He has 14 walks in 18 starts this year, which, as I read it, and then as I wrote it down, and then as I read it again, sounds made up. It's not like a real thing. But it is. That is Tarik Skubal's line this season. And it got me thinking, like, why doesn't, like, anyone who's had siblings that's like, why couldn't you be like X, from your parents or whatever, like, can relate to this? But it's like, why don't our coaches like telling other pitchers, like, why can't you be like Tarik Skubal and attack the zone and throw strikes and never walk anybody? Like, why can't you just do that? And obviously Skubal's a unique talent, but at the same time, anybody should have like the capability of attacking the zone, because every time we criticize a pitcher, they're not attacking the zone. So it's like, why is this simplistic approach so successful for Tarik Skubal?
It helps having elite stuff, Kieran. A lot of guys don't throw strikes at the rate he does because probably 2 factors. A, they can't. Their command just isn't as good as his. But he had to refine his command. He improved his command. And he was able to have confidence in his stuff. And I think that created a positive feedback loop. So that's the other thing. If you don't have elite stuff and you're tossing it over the strike zone, guess what happens in the major leagues? You get hit. And when the guys give up some loud contact, they tend to shy away. We see a lot of pitchers who like to nibble around the strike zone. Guys who are quality major league pitchers who could maybe be better if they didn't just nibble so much. But there can be a fear in the major leagues of leaving the ball over the plate. And if you don't have Tarik Skubal's stuff, it's a more real fear than ever. Those are some of the factors that go into it. He can attack the strike zone because he has the command to do so and because he has the confidence that even if he's in the zone, guys aren't necessarily going to be able to hit it. Even at this level, that is a pretty rare trait. That's one of the reasons why he's among the very best in the game.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's the whole time Scott Harris has been, and AJ Hinch too. That's the whole time that they've been on the Tigers. They just like say stuff that are so simple, and it's like, why don't I look at the game from that lens like a little bit more? And Scubal's like another example of that, where it's just like the only way you can get to him is you have to be as aggressive as he is. It's the only way. Now there is a team that can be patient with Skubal, or at least has shown some ability to, and that is the Seattle Mariners, which is why I wanted to bring this up. He had a start, his second start of the year. It was in Seattle, homecoming of sorts as well. And I remember thinking way worse about this outing than than I just look at the box score. He went 5.2. He allowed 3 earned runs. He had 8 Ks and 3 walks. So the 3 walks thing, how rare is that? Well, he's only done that one other time this season, and it's actually not out of the realm for Seattle. Seattle averages just over 3 and a third walks per game overall. That's third in the American League. And then on the road, Cody, it jumps up a little bit to 3.7 walks per game, which is second in the American League. So they got Skubal deep in counts a little bit last time, and they won that game, by the way. Can they do it again? Will that be a thing? So I don't have odds for this, but if I were to pick a player prop that I was interested in, and I'll probably put it on my X once those odds are available, but the Skubal walk rate is going to be an interesting one to follow tomorrow, just in general with regards to the game. And we'll see if Apple TV, maybe I just gave them a free little graphic idea because they're usually pretty good about those graphics and stats. So Skubal doesn't walk a lot of guys, but one of the only teams to get him to walk, Seattle Mariners. So just something, a game within the game to kind of follow a little bit. And also the Tigers, which brings us to my pick.
What's your actual pick here? What do we got?
My actual pick is something pretty simple. Tigers to win the series. The Tigers win series at a pretty high clip. I don't know if you've noticed. Right now, it is minus 210. So that is if you bet $210, you win $100. That's what that means. And it's actually not a given, Cody, because the Tigers...
That's a pretty high degree of confidence. You're facing a good team. Yeah. You're going to face Luis Castillo, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert. I mean, oof. You got Scoob going one of those days, but that's tough.
Here's one factor, though. How many times have we seen the Tigers be a tired team going on the road into Washington or going into Tampa or whatever, and you can kind of tell they have the rest advantage because the Seattle Mariners are playing tonight, and then in New York, and then they got to fly to Detroit, and then and then welcome to Detroit, MF for Tarik Skubal's on the mound. So maybe that's a factor as well. But the Tigers are 2-3 in series in which Skubal is the opener. Just a stat that's pretty meaningless, but just something that I looked up, just wanted to share with you guys. So that is our pick, my pick. Tigers to win the series. That is minus 210. It's one of those things where it's like they do it at a high enough clip that you figure it is a solid foundation of which to view the to view your bets. So what you need to do is you need to go to DraftKings Sportsbook, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code FOUL, that's code FOUL for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
And I'll just wrap up with this, Cody. If you're curious, the AL MVP talk gets, especially with Seattle versus New York, like Raleigh versus Judge. Skubal is plus 9,000 for MVP right now, so that's a pretty distant underdog. He is, however, minus 260 for Cy Young, and I think there's still a lot to be decided in the Cy Young race. I don't feel minus 260 confidence just because there's a lot of good pitchers in the American League, like we said last week. But I would like to see Tarik Skubal be a part of the conversation in MVP. I think he's deserved it. That's the number one thing. But it's going to be hard to overcome an historic catcher season and then the perennial, kind of one of the faces of the game. So
I don't think the AL MVP race is going to be very interesting this year. It would take Aaron Judge not falling off a cliff metaphorically, but maybe literally to make this interesting. I mean, Raleigh's got a claim too, but Aaron Judge is at 7.2 WAR at the All-Star break. And then Cal Raleigh, of course, having a great season, even if he's already a good bit behind 5.8 WAR on Fangraphs. Those two are the guys. It's going to take a lot to even enter the mix with them. If one of them somehow fell out of the race, like literally an injury, maybe a pitcher could enter the mix. They probably have to take Judge, who's already got this huge WAR lead, falling out of the mix. Skubal maybe should be in the discussion if you want to have a top 3, top 5 discussion, but this is a 2-horse race.
Yeah. I mean, that's I love Aaron Judge, but I also think Raleigh should be getting more like it's like it's cute is the way people talk about it. It's like, does he really have a chance? I think he should legitimately have a chance. That's my opinion. He plays catcher. He's
I
having
don't think we should rule him out. I also
No.
think Aaron Judge has a 468 on base percentage. Like he's
for
really
a second
good.
place team. Just saying. Anyway, anything else, Cody, before we jet out of here?
No, that's all for now.
All right. You can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Cody Stavenhagen. I'm at Kieran _Steckley, pod page at Tiger Territory _ Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. You guys know what to do. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us a subscribe. 5 stars if you feel so inclined. So for Cody Stavenhagen, I am Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.